We also have to see the profit lines of ONGC, and wherever possible, we should try to increase the revenue for the company. So when we can get some...
Why PSUs are not promoting petroleum as a career? Because ultimately it will help them, because if there are more trained labor or more trained professionals, they'll be helpful or they'll help the company grow more.
There are people who are willing to support you and help you out to implement that.
Hello everyone and welcome to the third podcast of Crude Talks. Today we have invited a very special guest and a well-known name of ONGC, Mr. H. Madhavan sir. Sir has joined ONGC in 1985 and has worked for ONGC for more than 3.5 decades. Sir has experience in all sectors, right from exploration to bidding. Sir has retired as ED Basin Manager from Western Offshore. During his tenure at ONGC, he has initiated and revised various policies and is also initiator of WebEx. Sir has many achievements under his belt and proved himself in all sort of works whichever is assigned to him. Madhavan sir is itself an example and well known for his work ethics and making new horizon in his work. So it's a proud moment for me and not Shavin to host him as a guest. So let's continue with the video. Hello sir and welcome to our podcast. So we are honored to have you here sir. So first question sir, please explain your petroleum field journey.
My petroleum field. Yes, in the petroleum industry, I joined as a geologist, and finally I laid down my office as a basin manager of Western Offshore Basin. It was an exciting journey because during the initial stages, I was working in the field as an operational geologist. I was able to see new places, work in different situations, different conditions, different geographical places. And yes, it enriched me not only as a geologist but also as a person, because I was able to go to various people, see their way of living, and I was exposed to their to different languages and cultures across India. And then also, yes, as a geologist, I was exposed to different type of fields where we have drilled, right from Gujarat to Assam to offshore, KG offshore and KG on land. And these different places had different geological setup. So it was challenging. Sometimes you work in very high pressure regimes. Sometimes you work in areas, places where there's a lot of mud loss. So yes, it has been a very exciting journey, and I'm happy that I was enriched by ONGC and I could enrich ONGC by my work.
So it was a thrilling journey. So it always excites me when I hear somebody as experienced as you telling your journey. It always excites me. Like, I think that I may live like you. I'm also a petroleum engineer. I'm looking forward to...
Not like me, better than me. Yeah.
Yes, I'll try, sir. Though it's difficult, but I'll try. Okay, sir. So you must have, sir, as we know, ONGC, it's Azhaan OVL, ONGC Videsh Limited. So they are trying to procure many outside India fields. Okay. So sir, is ONGC not confident enough that they'll find more field in better fields in India?
Yeah, see, this is a very question which will come into the minds of many youngsters or many people who have been following us. Firstly, you should understand that ONGC has not reduced any of its exploratory and development activities here in India. Domestically, we have been continuing with the same vigor, the same at the same speed. We have been continuing with the local, exploration production. But what has happened is, initially when ONGC, started from the Directorate of Geology, where we were in more of a research-oriented company in the initial stages. So we were able to go around, look for oil here in India. But now, after becoming a limited company, it is a commercial company now. Now, we also have to see the profit lines of ONGC, and wherever possible, we should try to increase the revenue for the company. So when we can get some acreages abroad where we feel we can invest and bring in oil at a cheaper rate than what we purchase from other countries, we will go for it. So in OVL also we have two types of strategy. We go for exploration blocks, exploration acreages, we take it, do our exploration, then we discover hydrocarbon fields, produce it, and we get that oil here, which we normally call as equity oil. And there are other properties which are called as producing properties, and the countries will be willing to sell it, the companies will be willing to sell it, they are willing to sell it for many of the reasons. There are many socio-political reasons attached to it. And so when we feel that the opportunity is right and we are able to get the oil at a better rate, so we certainly go for it. So it is more of a commercial consideration that we go for such properties elsewhere, rather than the inability of doing our work here in India. In India, the work continues.
But can't ONGC further speed it by investing the OVL money into our domestic production?
No, yes.
Or is there something like we cannot, like it's the limit, we cannot explore more, or there is technological limits which we cannot cross?
See, it's not like that. It's not like that we have some sort of technological limits in this. But as a commercial enterprise, you are always on the lookout for good properties, and how long you want to be, you want to remain as a domestic player. In fact, with the recent globalization across many industries, you have seen many Indian companies going abroad and trying to establish their presence there. Many of the companies have gone, whether it is private companies like Tata's, or for that matter Ambani's or Adani's. They have all taken acreages abroad, and they have taken over companies abroad, and they have profited. So we are also, as a commercial company, we would like to establish our presence as a global player instead of just remaining a very domestic player. So that is also a reason for why we have started spreading our wings elsewhere.
Okay, so means ONGC is trying to make more profit.
And also establish its presence globally. ONGC has to become a global company. Why we should remain only a local company?
So is there something like a risk involved in going outside? Means if OVL is OVL, we have to get certain rules and regulations, and we have to counter that regulations. Is there some risk involved in that?
Risk is there in any business, especially when you go abroad. The risk is there in terms of policy changes, in terms of political changes. The risk is always there. But then the reward is also there. So we do the risk reward analysis and we go as per that, Because sometimes, when you go for riskier properties, you also get more rewards. So it's not that we don't balance out that. We usually do a risk reward study and then we go for it.
So one more thing, like we were talking about the technology. What are the technology advancement from your start of your career, from the starter to till date? What you have experienced? How was the situation back then, and how situations have changed now?
See, our generation was lucky enough to see non-digital era and the digital era. So when I joined, it was more of a non-digital era where we had to do most of our interpretation, most of our, reportings, report writings, the drafting of maps, all we used to do by hand, we used to sort of write it down in registers. It's not like, you enter into a computers and store it. So you maintain registers, then you type it out, you bring it out, bind it. And maps we used to draw by our hands. And even the seismic surveys, whatever outputs used to come, we used to do it all by hand. Later, when computerization took over, we started adopting it. In fact, ONGC in that way was very quick in adopting the latest technology in its exploration development activities. So I remember as early as 87, 88, the first PC, I remember in Baroda office we got one. It was called as Ultra Ulysses. You had the big digital disk, you might not even seen it. And then it used to have a memory of 64 KB. Operating system, you used to load in one diskette. and the other diskette used to have the data. Then from 8-inch, we used to have 5.5-inch, then came your 3.5-inch. Now the floppy disks are not there anymore. So this computerization, has helped lot in doing our work. So that was a major change which I have seen. And even in communication systems, ONGC was in the forefront. We established very good communication systems. We brought in the best supercomputers we established in India in our geopic. And then we used the computing powers for all our seismic, data interpretation, data processing. So that is one major change which I can say that ONGC has got it. That is as far as my domain is concerned. Similarly, in other domains of drilling and production also, lot many improvements happened. Again, digital technology came into drilling technology. You had top-driven mechanical rigs started coming, electrical rigs, and then same was the case with all this SRP, on the production things. And now of late, ONGC is looking into digital oil fields. We are bringing in more IoT and also incorporating your artificial intelligence and machine language into its processes. So yes, there has been a sea change since the time I joined. I still remember when I was a well-site geologist in Jambusar, we used to calculate what we call as, for the pore pressure, D exponent we used to call it. I used to do it in a calculator. There are no PCs. On a calculator, I used to do the calculations, mark it on a graph sheet, and then start plotting it. Now, nobody uses calculator. So that is a change now, in yes.
Yeah, so it is a lot easier for us to work now. But this is one more thing. Like, you are working in ONGC. So what are PSUs or even private companies are doing to promote petroleum as a career? Because there are not so much petroleum engineers in India today. There are even lesser colleges who provide petroleum engineering as a course. So what's your take on that? Why PSUs are not promoting petroleum as a career? Because ultimately it will help them, because if there are more trained labor or more trained professionals, they'll be helpful or they'll help the company grow more.
No, I differ that PSUs are not helping students. It's not like that. PSUs are aware that they need to encourage the student community. In fact, compared to the times when I joined, now I am seeing much more interaction with the student community, especially all this SPE. You got the Association of Petroleum Geologists, APG, SPG, and your Petrotech conferences. All these conferences now I am invariably seeing that there is a separate program for the students. In that we used to invite the student community to come and participate. We select them, they come and participated. In fact, some of the SPG conferences we also had job mela where jobs were given directly. So it's not that PSUs have not been encouraging. And then in many universities, PSUs have their chairs. PSUs have MOUs with many universities. Like for instance, I have had when I was a Basin Manager, we had an MOU with MS University for some of the seismic studies. And with the IITs, we have a MOU. We have a MOU with ISM, and then there are like BHU, Chandigarh University. Quite a lot of universities are there where we go and promote an RGPIT and all. In fact, ONGC was involved in its, fixing up the course curriculum and all those stuff. So maybe some universities like, Parmar is a young university, you're not still completely exposed to the type of involvement PSUs have with students. But now that you are a very young university and your course is very young, you will start interacting with people. You should start participating in those conferences. You will certainly have more interaction with the PSUs. And PSUs are encouraging the students. It's not like that PSUs are not aware of the importance of the youth.
Yes, so they are and interacting with the current students who have taken petroleum engineering. What I'm trying to say, they are not promoting petroleum as a career, because I got to know about petroleum from my brother. Okay, but how much awareness is there for IT industry? That is not the same level of awareness is not there for petroleum engineering. So why ONGC? Because if ONGC wants to promote petroleum engineering, they can promote it. So why doesn't ONGC promotes or even government promotes it?
No, that's what I'm saying. No, it's not that they are not promoting. See, these are all niche industries, which, like for instance, the activities of ONGC, it's not very visible to the local public as much as any fast-moving consumer goods are there, isn't it? If it is an FMCG industry, it is known to all. As far as digital technology is concerned, day in and day out, you are dealing with it. But petroleum technology as such is an industry which is, you can call as behind the shadows. Okay. Now, what the government or the companies are doing is, of course, through CSR, they establish their presence. But during these conferences, we specifically invite students so that they come and they know what is happening in the industry. And it is now the student chapters in the different universities, it is their role to see to it that they are able to spread and sort of encourage the other student community to know about what exactly is your subject, That is how it can only, because it is, as I said, it is not an FMCG industry, so everybody are aware of it.
So that is why we opened this channel to promote petroleum engineering as much as we can. Okay, so coming to my last question. So what is the future of oil and gas industry in India? And related to students, like how will they survive in this, or what are the technical skills they require, and how far petroleum field can go?
See, I can understand your concern as a petroleum engineer. You will be feeling that the era of oil and gas is going to come to an end and we'll have to see for alternate source of energy and all that stuff. It is not like that, because when you are a petroleum engineer, you are learning certain technologies, and if you can incorporate the present developments to further the cause of your industry, let us say, suppose if you are able to find and identify ways and means of reducing your carbon emissions while effectively using your oil and gas, you are having a very huge market for it. You are having a very good subject. You will have to think in those terms. You cannot continue with the existing system and think that it is going to go on forever. No, it's not like that. I also agree that the way in which a petroleum industry was functioning earlier, it may not be easy for the industry to function in the same way. We'll have to find ways and means of increasing the efficiency increasing the sustainability in terms of reducing the carbon emissions, and also it has to be environmentally, it has to take care of the environmental sensitivity of the people. So for that, it is in your hand how well you are going to integrate the latest developments, especially in digital technology, in your artificial intelligence, in your IoT. How are you going to integrate and incorporate that into the existing petroleum industry so that the industry becomes more and more sustainable and I would call it socially friendly industry, So it is in your hands. And nowadays, you can also see that there's a lot of startup initiatives which are coming up. You have a very good startup ecosystem in India developing now. If you are coming out with a good idea, there are people who are willing to support you and help you out to implement that. So now the ball is in your game with the youngster. It is in your hands with the youngsters. You will have to now decide on how I can bring the improvement in this industry and put up a proposal so that the people who are, you call them angel investors or you call them the powers they are there in that industry, they are able to sit up and look at you and tell, yes, this student has got something in him which, if we encourage, will be helpful for the society. So now it is in your hands. So the industry will remain, but it depends on you how you are going to shape.
How they're shaping it, yeah. So we will try to work on your that. So we'll try to work on that, whatever you suggested us. And so it's great talking to you, sir. Thank you so much, sir. And I hope you'll come again. And
oh, sure. I have been I have always liked to interact with youngsters, and it has been a good session for me also. And I was also very happy to interact with many of your friends here who are doing petroleum engineering, and certainly I would like to come again. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.